this would be the opportunity for anyone to address the council on a matter under our jurisdiction, not on today's agenda, for a period not to exceed 2 minutes, so that people understand how we're going to proceed today. What we will do is we will take oral communication. In the event there are folks online, we will toggle back and forth. We'll take a person here who's with us. We'll then take a person online back to a person with us. We will do that for a period of time of 30 minutes if there are comments that extend that long. When we arrive at 30 minutes, what we will do is we will suspend then oral communication. We'll take up the rest of our regular business, then return to oral communication. So at this point, we're under oral communication. Good afternoon. Welcome to the council meeting.
Hello, my name is Laura Chatham, and I just want to start by showing you this article, The ACLU Sues City Over Anti-Homeless Laws. Now, this is the first. It's in Washington and Spokane. But what I'm really here to do today is to read the letter that I've passed out from the Mental Health Advisory Board to the County Board of Supervisors. But because it impacts everybody and we all have to work together, I'd like to read it to you today. So it starts, to the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors. The Santa Cruz Mental Health Advisory Board strongly recommends that the Board of Supervisors take immediate action to help our homeless population by, 1, directing the County Behavioral Health Department to work with the Parks and Recreation Department throughout the county to redesign and establish a health and safety-focused street cleaning encampment protocol that is trauma-sensitive and follows state law requiring the storage and later retrieval of taken property for 90 days. Number 2, decrease the cost by decreasing the number of police units at encampment cleanups. This is an issue of public health, not criminal. More than 3 armed officers is unnecessary, threatening, and expensive. California Civil Code 2080 SC imposes mandatory statutory duties on public entities and their employees and agents to maintain for a minimum of 90 days unattended property over which they have taken charge.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers online? Okay, we'll take the next speaker online.
Good afternoon.
Hello, I just wanted to continue reading the letter from the Mental Health Advisory Board that we began reading earlier. Police departments are not storing the items taken during encampment cleanups. Police-assisted street cleaning, commonly referred to as sweeps, takes place across the county. Survival equipment and valuable personal items are thrown into parks and recreation dump truck vehicles, never to be seen again. This is unlawful and unacceptable. The daily police and sheriff altercations and destruction of people's property is a self-sustaining cycle that perpetuates the harmful circumstances and trauma disorders of the homeless people. Witnesses report that the police do not listen to the homeless people's pleas for visible specific survival items. Police can be heard threatening arrest throughout the process, making people feel criminalized and terrified. Witnesses report recently watching the police throw away a 40-pound bag of dog food as the dog owner begged to be able to take it with her. Seizure and destruction of medicine is common and can be life-threatening. One way to comply with the law is to not take property in the first place. This would also be cheaper. The public health goals of the camp cleanup programs are not being met. We think it can be done better, cheaper, and get closer to solving the problem. Studies of sweeps found that of the 174 camps removed by the LAPD last year, everyone has returned. The solution that is being employed is not solving the problem. The city has put fences around public parks that keep everybody out. The violent language and shock of the sweeps affect the most vulnerable in an already vulnerable population, increasing symptoms of PTSD and panic disorders. It is well documented that veterans in this population are especially likely to suffer from these conditions. The daily sweeps of Coral Street starting June 3rd were predated by a city eviction notice of only 5 days, With physical disabilities, even 2 weeks is often not enough, and 5 days is horrific. Forcing disabled homeless people to move off of Coral Street is short-sighted and harmful. Many people with illnesses or chronic conditions will likely miss appointments and postpone care.
Thank you. In line, good afternoon, welcome.
I'd like to continue the reading of the letter for the Mental Health Advisory Board. People with illnesses or chronic conditions will likely miss appointments and postpone care due to much further distance to travel to access homeless persons, health project, HPHP, or the showers of housing matters. This ultimately can increase the severity of their conditions and keeps them unhoused and dependent on county-funded nonprofit services longer. Supporters of the police removal of the camps cite spreading diseases as a common concern. HIV, lung disease, skin infections, as well as mental health issues afflict this demographic in higher numbers than the general population. This is why forced migration is so dangerous. Forcing people to move further away from the resources offered by HPHP can increase spread of contagious diseases and seems to be in complete opposition to the stated health concerns of the county. We need to prioritize public health. Tents, bedding, tarps, food, clothes, shoes, water bottles, backpacks, chargers, phones, cleaning supplies, bikes, mobility aids, medicines, propane tanks, portable batteries, coolers, laptops, art materials, family memorabilia, pet food, even IDs, birth certificates, and identification papers are destroyed, making it even more impossible to seek services in the county. Some of these items are hard to acquire, and some are the most basic tools needed to get out of survival camps and off the assisted programs. The cycles of property seizure and destruction makes it extremely difficult for homeless people to maintain stability, required to keep in touch with employment, family, doctors, development routines, sleep, eat, and ultimately survive when living without shelter and everything is destroyed over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next person in line. Good afternoon. Welcome.
I will be finishing the letter from the Mental Health Advisory Board. Recent statistics from behavioral health indicate that on average 43% of the people they serve are unhoused, but this is likely an understatement due to the exclusion of contract services. In this county alone, we have witnessed the loss of homes to fires and floods, and we do not know when an earthquake may cause more loss. In addition, the economic downturn, especially in local tech industries, plus the exorbitant cost of reasonable housing in this area, should give us pause to consider that no one is immune to losing their home. About 15,000 people are becoming homeless each week in the U.S. now. We suggest that a more compassionate and sustainable plan will not only help homeless people now, but could build a better infrastructure of resources and support. This method of police action against encampments is not working. With national attention on the homeless crisis, here in Santa Cruz County, we have an opportunity to implement solutions that work. Current practices are not bringing solutions. They're exacerbating the problem. Undeniably, there is a need for safety, trash removal, and walkability all over the county. Let us all work together to navigate a new solution that prioritizes health and allocates funding to help, not punish homeless people, including senior citizens and veterans. And I will now move to a Journal of the American Medical Association study that covered forced displacement of unhoused people and found that, quote, continual involuntary displacement may contribute to between 15.6 and 24.4% of additional deaths among unsheltered people experiencing homelessness who inject drugs over a 10-year period. These policies of displacement are killing people. They are worsening a health crisis. Police response, they have nowhere to go. Police response is not a solution. And in addition, the seizure of property will drive petty theft and only worsen crime in the area.
Thank you for being here. Next person. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Hello all, my name is Dora. I'm a molecular ecologist working at the university. I'm here to comment on the harmfulness of the homeless encampment sweeps in the city. I have attended many of these sweeps where people's belongings are destroyed by bulldozers and shoveled into dumpsters. We are told often that they are for the sake of health and safety, that the encampments are unsanitary. As you may know, there was a Shigella outbreak, a potentially life-threatening disease that causes dysentery symptoms spread by unclean water. At Harvey West at the time, where an encampment had formed, the city shut off the water. You don't have to be a biologist to understand that actions like that only spread disease and threaten lives. The city also seems to throw away perfectly sanitary items for the sake of health and safety. One man who lost his house due to fire told me how city workers took his still new and plastic-wrapped survival gear given to him by FEMA and destroyed it, claiming it was unsanitary and dangerous. On top of that, throwing away people's belongings destroys their medicine, forced relocation aggravates chronic or acute conditions, and sweeping areas like Coral Street forces people to move further from vital medical aid like HPHP. If the sweeps are being done for the sake of health and safety, it certainly doesn't seem to be for the health of homeless people. We are also often told that encampments are swept for the sake of the environment. At the Pogonip open spaces, I have witnessed bulldozers plowing down wide paths into the meadows and forests to destroy encampments, doing obviously more damage than a small encampment. I have found large piles of crushed and destroyed belongings left behind, many of which seem not to get cleaned up. As an ecologist, I can say confidently that the way we are currently addressing encampments is harming, not protecting our ecology. If we can use nature for recreation, we should also be able to use it for survival. And simple measures like regularly serviced trash cans and bathrooms would be cheaper and more effective than mechanized sweeps. It is clear that these sweeps are not addressing health or our environment properly, and it is also clear to me that encampments reform immediately after sweeps, just with more traumatized inhabitants. This is a stupid and wasteful cycle. We all know there's a better way to address these encampments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Mayor Keeley, members of the council. My name is Troy Mason. I have been homeless pretty much since I got here. I see a lot of people are very mean here to homeless people. I have ideas. I have an idea to erect a monument in honor of the homeless Americans who died here and maybe even California. But I was just in San Francisco and I went to that art museum, that monolith, that gorgeous structure with the angels inside of it. And I was thinking, you know, Santa Cruz could be a pillar of light and hope for the whole world. A lot of tourists come here, and this monument, it shot a beam of light, was way up on the mountain, and it had their names engraved. I have a complete schematic, but it would bring more people here from all over the world. It would show the world that we know how to treat our own, because we're Santa Cruzians, man. We love this place just as much as you all do. And I'm not trying to destroy it, but there's a lot of people out there that don't care, that don't have American values and morals. And we, the ones of us that do, we got to deal with that. And then they're trying to make us victims and do horrible things to us too. So I just think that we should just, if it's upside down, turn it around, man. And we got to start telling people to love your neighbor and to love each other, because we could really be a shining light. And I think that's what we should do. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
I brought some extra copies of this very long paper. I welcome you guys back after your summer vacation, summer session. And I'd like to catch you up. So on June 3rd, I don't know if you guys left at that point, but on June 3rd started the Coral Street sweeps. On July 29th was the Pogonip sweeps. And on May 28th was the sweeps on Harvey West after the water was shut down after a Shigella outbreak. That is an extreme problem, and I'm still trying to follow up with the water department for why. There are several issues with how we treat our homeless people, but most acutely, I have noticed that the issue is property destruction. There are several laws that say that property should be kept. Both Civil Code 2080, the Camping Ordinance 636, and Gavin Newsom's newest executive order on July 25th all say that valuable property that is taken by any state or city employee should be stored for 60 to 90 days, and this is not occurring. I recently at the Pogonip marked a wheelchair with a note saying this is valuable medical equipment, please store for Huff. I then called, and I've spoken to several officers and the property department of the police station, and they did not save any of the equipment that we marked with medical equipment, and they didn't save the wheelchair either. They didn't save the tents. All of this is things that are supposed to be saved by the Camping Ordinance and by Civil Code 2080. SCPD is regularly the issue. They are threatening arrest. They are using rude language. Sergeant Ross Officer Kerr, Officer Kaufman are some of the 3 rudest people I've seen who have made fun of homeless people and directly to their face, aggressively called them liars. I recently watched them try to take away my friend's dog, who he's had for decades, and called him a liar when he said that was my dog. That's my dog. And they said, you're a liar. And they tried to take him away. And only when a random person came up that wasn't homeless and pointed out that he was telling the truth, then they listened to them. That is dehumanization, and that is a crucial issue.
Thank you. Next person. Hello. How are you, sir? Good to see you again.
Turned on channel 25, you were on. I'm like, ah! Anyway, I'm here to talk about this, like, you know, what's going on with the homeless, this encampment craziness and stuff. It's like when the Supreme Court did this crazy thing they did, I called the chief. You know, you go there and you can't get an appointment with him straight up. So I called him and he called me back and I talked to him because, I'm just so concerned. It don't make sense to me. I mean, it's like, where do we put the homeless if there's nowhere to put them? I mean, is there internment camps? Is it Holocaust time again already? Learn anything? Is there any protections? The city, y'all, our people, our folks, any protections for what's happening out? This is real. It's reality. Nowhere to go. What? What little they got? I'm hearing that they're throwing it away. I talked to the chief. I asked him. He said he wasn't doing that kind of activity. So if they are doing that kind of, do they oversee them, watch them, give them instructions? Do they listen? Can they follow your guidance? If your folks need you, we need you now. I know you all know what reality is. Can somebody help somebody in this world? It's only getting worse. What up? Who's next? You? I don't know if you can hear me or feel me yet, but I'm saying, if there's some protection, can we get some now? Show them, pump your chest up, do like we do, because we got to walk these streets every day. What up? Help us, help yourself, help this world, save somebody, something. It's real. I know y'all know.
Councilmember Brown is recognized on the consent agenda.
I have a couple of comments on item 18, which is the contract for cleanup of encampments in the Pogonip. I am particularly concerned about this item in large part because of what we heard during oral communications about the experience of people who are being swept from these encampments and the loss of property. So I want to ask a question about that. I'm not going to ask for folks to respond right now, but I want you all to know, those of you who came, that I hear you, and I too have had experiences where I've recently encountered people who tell me that their, for example, medications have been taken and when their things were taken during clearance of an encampment. For a city that is, doing things that we hope are going to be contributing to improved health and safety for all in our community, and that has taken a significant role in responding to the needs and the challenges associated with our unhoused population. I think we have a responsibility to ensure that people are not losing their, in some cases, really critical belongings. I mean, identification, medication, those are the things obviously other things as well, and the trauma that people experience. And I fear that we are going to be heading back into the days of just pushing people around, confiscating their belongings, and with no recourse for those folks. And immeasurable trauma. So I'm going to be voting no on this item. I'm not going to try to convince anyone to to oppose it because I do understand that there is a need for management of our open spaces, and I'm very concerned about people living in long term in those open spaces. We have fire danger, but it comes as a result of pushing people around. And I've been consistent during my time on the council. Most of my time on the council has been in the context of a court ruling that was just recently overturned, and I just can't express how concerned I am about what people are going to experience, and I don't think it benefits our community as a whole to have more traumatized people just going back out onto the streets without their medication, without identification, without the ability to do the things they need to do to get out of the situation. So I'm going to be voting no on this item, and I will be following up. Laura, I know how to reach you. If other folks hopefully you can connect through Laura, because I am very concerned. And, I don't think that, and we have policies about that. So if we're violating our own policies, then we really need to be taking a step back and looking at that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. We are, Councilmember Watkins is.
I'd like to comment also on the Pogonip Nature Loop encampment cleanup. And perhaps you haven't been out there to see the dangerous conditions, but the people that are living out there are being victimized themselves by other people out there. And so it's not safe for people to live in encampments. And so I support the encampment cleanup. And it's our responsibility to ensure that our protected nature areas are protected for everyone and the waterways are protected as it feeds into the tributaries feed into the San Lorenzo River, which is our water source. So thank you for that cleanup effort.
Councilmember Collins is recognized.
Thank you. I will also quickly comment on item 18 and then also 21, 24, 26, 27. I'll make them brief. Item 18, I just want to acknowledge that every single person that we encounter at an encampment is offered shelter. And we spend over $8 million in our community.
Excuse me.
False.
Excuse me.
But that's false.
Please remove the lady from the chambers.
False.
We spend over $8 million.
Excuse me.
100% a lie.
The council member is now recognized. The council member is now recognized.
Thank you. So thank you to this council for approving a homelessness response framework that invests over $8 million to support folks through shelter. No other city in this community or our County Board of Supervisors is investing in that way. Items 21